students know more about critical thinking now than they did 40 years ago, or they do better on some tests. But, what is critical thinking? My overall point was you should never really make up your mind about anything, unless it's that Western culture is bad. You can do that. But otherwise, you should have not just an open mind, but what Ayn Rand called a wide open mind. And don't make up your mind. So it ultimately was an assault on objectivity. Critical thinking is big in education these days, but critical thinking is keep a wide open mind. What they learn in school sets them up for being vulnerable to being co-opted by the so-called thought leaders, the leftist intellectuals. It makes them vulnerable. It doesn't give them the content necessarily. Although actually, of course, teachers in schools these days are indoctrinating people in anti-Israel propaganda. That does exist, but it's mainly that when those influences come to bear on them, they don't have the thinking tools to resist them. It makes them wide open for control by their leaders. So I remember seeing one young lady, she was asked to give some justification for her positions on the Palestinians. And she said, no, I don't do that. Go to the leader. But she said, go to Lee and talk to him. So there are a lot of sheep out there that knowledge is crucial. You have to know where the Jordan River is if you're going to make those statements for it to be sensible. But it's not, having the knowledge is not sufficient. You have to be able to think with it too. That woman, first of all, has to be apprised of the facts, but then she would have to engage in a thought process and arrive at an objective conclusion from those facts. And I doubt that she's currently capable of doing that. So anyway, that woman, when she said, I'm going to end this conversation now, what she's really saying is, I'm going to stop thinking about this right now. She's stopping her thinking. Boom, not going to think, which of course, that is, on the objectivist view, that's the essence of evil right there. When you refuse to think, you can lead a person to the material of thought, but you can't make them think. Can't make them do it. That's free will for you. The things that drive them is emotion, which is envy, egalitarianism, nihilism. There are the emotions that they paste over the rationalization that altruism gives them. And so what is the answer to all this stuff? In the end, we have to make sure that students, they learn how to think, that they learn how to sustain independent thinking, a process that you sustain for number of steps. So today's college students, if they're in certain fields, STEM fields in particular, can sustain a thought process in mathematics or engineering, in some cases, pretty well, in a narrow channel to do with their particular field. As soon as they get into anything that touches on the humanities, philosophy or history or current events, or that, they're helpless. They're basically helpless. They can't go more than a couple of steps. And so they are easy prey for leftist arguments. The leftist arguments are usually pretty short, a couple of steps. Look at this picture and you see these people getting killed and you draw this conclusion. They have short arguments. The arguments for things like a free society are a bunch of steps. And they go for a long way and they cover a large area. And you have to be able to sustain an independent thought process. And I'm afraid that's not in the cards. If they had kids coming out of primary school and high school that had the skill of independent thinking and understood why that's good and could do it, they would perhaps be able to resist these professors. I mean, some of us resisted. I had all those professors, and you had to keep up a constant vigilance against them. But you can't do it if you can't think.